Hey guys, so we're going to create this fun little shield here. This has got some fun little things kind of going on. You might notice at the right off the bat, this doesn't look like the shield we made before. It's got some flat edges on the sides. It also has this little boss on the top, this little rounded kind of feature here with these little slashes here or there. We might do something different on the bottom. We'll kind of see where the design goes. But we're going to do some peculiar shapes for the next couple of things, and we'll sort of round off the week with some different things besides using our circles. We'll definitely incorporate some circles, obviously, as you can see here. But let's take a look here. So I just made this little thing, with like just a couple random words in terms of this. Obviously, you can affect the text in any way you want, and we'll see if we can't fix this little thing. This is a little off center here, but let's take a look at how we build this little shape here. First off, we're going to make a little rectangle here. I'm going to go ahead and put the fill can stay on for now, and I'll just get my direct select tool. I might actually make this a bit narrower because I don't want it to be too terribly wide, but I'll grab this anchor point here, and I'll just drag this straight up. Remember, when you start dragging it up, you can hold down shift to keep it constrained. And I might drag it up about halfway, maybe say for instance, not quite halfway. And I'm going to round this off just a little bit here. Just slightly, maybe a little more. That's good. At any point, if you want to make this taller or shorter, you can just click on this corner here and just drag this up a little bit if you wanted to kind of like affect that curve there. That's fine. Obviously, this is going to tweak out a little bit if you're not careful, but I like this the way it is. Okay, so I'm going to right-click on this, and I'm going to transform and reflect, and I'll make sure this is reflecting on the vertical axis, and I'll copy this. Now, I have my smart guides activated. There's a glitch in Adobe Illustrator with some computers where smart guides either are activated but still won't work, or for instance, they are just not able to kind of turn on. I'm gonna lock this real quick so I don't keep matching to it. But I am able to basically kind of snap this to the center. Now, for instance, if you aren't able to snap this to the center, for instance, like once we have this all lined up, what you can do is you actually click on this and look over here at your width. My width is 172, and you can just add that number to your X position, and it'll just move it over the exact width of your shield there. And so we're just going to unify these real quick. With that done, I'm going to add this little boss here. The way I add this little sort of bump in the middle there is just by simply drawing a circle and just centering it up. And obviously the width of the circle, you can kind of like see where that goes. If you want to have it a little more shallow and drag it down, you can. If you want to have a little more bulbous, I would avoid having it go anywhere past the halfway point of the circle. You definitely don't want this little kind of bubble happening. You definitely want this to be sort of just like a little, addendum. I'm going to have it down a little lower, and we'll just unify these guys. And any other sort of features you want to add, you can add to those. And but in the meantime, though, we'll just go ahead and offset our path, and we'll just do -10. Let's see how that looks like. That's probably good. And then we'll do it again, offset one more time. And let's see what happens when we exclude this. Well, let's actually do this one more time. We'll offset this a third time. Offset 10 pixels, and we'll just exclude. Now we have our little kind of mark on the inside. Once again, all these things can be sort of adjusted if you are judicious with where you grab your anchor points and stuff. So I can drag this down, make it a bit longer. I can drag this side over here and kind of draw this to one side. If I wanted to like maybe go about halfway down and sort of drag this off to the side, I could do that as well. You gotta be careful about messing up your curves and stuff. At any point, if I wanted to say, for instance, click on this and get my direct select tool, I could sort of grab these guys and just sort of drag these in. If I wanted to curve those in, obviously this is gonna adjust the thickness of your curve as well, so you gotta be careful with that as well. But so just kind of take a look at this and see if there's anything you want to do with this. And so we'll just kind of go from here. I'm actually gonna make this a bit bigger just to to see. This is a bit thinner than what I made over here. I'll just leave that stuff to the side. But let's start off with this little circular kind of like boss we've got here. So I'm going to take my ellipse tool and just draw a circle kind of starting right here in the center. Hold down Alt to sort of drag it outwards. I'll make it a little bit smaller than the circle right there. I want to make sure this is centered. All right, and then I'll just drag this down some. Hold on Shift. And I get my text tool here, and I'll just hold down the Alt key and just click on the outside. And I have chosen Big Noodle Titling. Big Noodle Titling is the font that I'm using for this. You can use whatever font you like. I'm going to suggest that you use all caps and you use a sans serif font. Remember we talked about things like readability, and we talked about things like kind of hierarchy and stuff. And so whenever in the tone that some of these fonts take, so if ever you have something that might be very small, having the letters be as clean as possible is a good way of keeping it readable. So in this case, this might be kind of small, so I'm going to just make this just a little bit readable here. So I'll just put down tip, top quality. You can put whatever you'd like here. And I will sort of rotate this around to be around right here. And maybe you can make this a bit bigger. And we'll just sort of drag this down. Okay, and if at any point I want to make sure this is centered, I can just drag my ruler down. If you don't see your ruler, just go to View and make sure Rulers, Show Rulers have been selected here. That's fine. Show Rulers, Rulers. You know, hide rulers or show rulers. Control R on the keyboard. I'm going to drag this thing down here and just put this right between these two letters. And see right here that the Y is not quite there and the T is not quite there. So I'm just going to put these around in here and just drag it down some. That's about right. All right, cool. And so what we can do here is we can just, you know, kind of have this be, you know, maybe a little bit more spread out. I'll just pull the tracking up slightly. Oop, now I have to readjust this. So it's up to you kind of where you put this. Okay, so now obviously before we go any, before we finalize this, we want to make sure that we've got this, you know, outlined, and then we've got this, you know, sort of placed on a, shall we say, unified with the rest of the drawing. But in this case, I want to keep this as a text tool just in case I want to change anything, or if I want to keep adjusting this if I come back and look at it and I don't like it. So let's make sure this is centered. All right, cool. So this little starburst thing, I can show you how I made this. This was actually kind of a fun little thing I found, just this idea of having this little disembodied sort of like second layer of our sort of starburst here. So I'm just going to draw a little ellipse right here in the center, and I'll just offset it by say about 5, so -5. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, I think it's good. And we'll just go ahead and minus front here. So I'm going to actually move this both over this way so I can do this a bit better. And I'll just minus front. And what we'll do is we'll grab a little rectangle here. In this case, let's take a look at this. This is 61 by 61. I'll just hit M on my keyboard, click it once, and I'll do 5 as far as the width goes. And I'll make this, say for instance, 80 pixels high. And let's see how this looks when we center this together. All right, that's good. I might actually make it a slight bit bigger. I'll just get in real close and just drag it from the center, holding out Alt while I do it, so it goes evenly on both sides. So once again, we get that. Okay, so once again, we'll just right-click on this, and we'll go to Transform, Rotate, and we'll rotate it, in this case, say for instance, 12 degrees, which will give us about, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 or so of these things. Let's see, yeah, 30 of these little rays here. So we'll just Control D until it goes all the way around. All right, so in this case, this is going to be kind of difficult to unify without selecting the circle behind it. So we're getting real close here. Hold down Shift and click on this circle so it's deselected, and then we'll just unify this. And let's get this little circle. So let's draw a little circle here. Let's go click on L on the keyboard. 61 by 61 is the height of the circle. So we'll click on this, and we'll click on our little starburst in the center, and make sure this is the key object, and center these, and we'll just minus front. Okay, now so we can just go ahead and unify these guys here. All right, so that's great. I like that a lot. And what we'll do is we'll create our little starburst for the second one. I'll just click once with my M on the keyboard, and I'll make it maybe instead of 5 pixels, how about 3 pixels? And I'll make it about maybe 100 pixels tall. And let's go ahead and go to, before we do anything else, Object, Path, Add Anchor Points, and I'll just change this to red just so I can see a bit better. And let's get in close with our Direct Select tool. And once again, we're going to make this little sort of tapered edge by clicking these little guys and dragging them inside. Make sure this clicks onto the actual thing here. I'm going to go over here to View and uncheck Snap to Pixel. So hopefully I can just snap this right there. That's good. Okay. Snap right there, right? And we'll go down to the bottom over here, get in real close, click once on this corner, drag it in, and click once on this corner and drag it in as well. Okay, cool. All right. And we'll just get in a little bit closer, and we'll center all this together. And this is a bit too short, so I'll just Alt-Shift and scale it up. And if I want to make this a little bit thicker, perhaps at the top here, I can just add a stroke. I'll make it red for now, and I'll make sure it's set to have a rounded tip. And so I'll just increase that maybe to like 2 pixels there. I like that, that's kind of fun. So with this done, let me just go ahead and go to Object, and I'll go to Path and Outline Stroke, and then that way what I'll do is I'll just unify this with my Pathfinder. Remember, if you don't see your Pathfinder over here, you just go to Window and check Pathfinder, and I'll just unify this. So now this is one solid shape that I can cut. So we did 12 degrees across this way, so we'll do 36. So so every third ray will have one of these things. So we'll go to Object, Transform, and Rotate, and we'll do 36 degrees this time. And we'll just Control D until it goes all the way around, and we'll get in real close here, and we'll just select these guys and unify them. Okay, and so over here, let's go ahead and grab a circle. I'll just click L, and just 61 by 61 is fine, and I'll just center this on top of this guy here. I might change this to, say, for instance, blue, so I can see it better, and we'll just Shift and Alt and drag it outwards until I get to where I want it to be. So I think that's about good, kind of compared to the rest of it. If I was to, like, kind of look at here, I like that, and I'll just hold down Shift, grab the red starburst, and I'll cut that out. All right, cool. And so with that done, we can just go ahead and unify everything here, and I'll just change it back to green. With that done, let me just go ahead and grab this guy, and I'll just center this here. And I'm not going to center it vertically at this point. I might shrink it down some, but I could just drag it up some right there. So it depends on what you want to do. I probably shrink it down a little bit here. Right, so again, it's a pretty delicate looking starburst, so it's one of those things if you wanted to kind of go in and, like, say for instance, I bet we could probably offset this by like 1 pixel, so I could go over here and I can just go to, let's actually go ahead and go to isolation mode and just click on this guy and go to select, or rather object, path, offset path by like 1 pixel, and then we could probably select these two here. And let's see here, if I were to be intersect, there we go. That's a little bit cleaner. That's nice. Okay, so just do what you would like in terms of the look of this. And I like the way this little this little sunburst thing looks. So that's kind of fun. Okay, with that done, this little guy right here, I want to make these as sort of like precise as I can. So instead of just drawing freehand with the pen tool, the little slash here, I'm going to draw 2 rectangles. I'll draw 1 rectangle going across, and we can make it as big or as small as we want. I'll just make it, say for instance, yay big. I'll turn this red, and I'll right-click on it with my move tool here. I'll right-click on it, transform, and I'm going to shear this up, say for instance, -10 degrees. So it goes uphill. Make sure it's vertical though. So so -10 degrees, and I'll press OK. And oops, let me just real quick. I'll just do that one more time. Right-click on it, transform, shear, and I'll do -10 degrees, and I'll copy this, and I'll actually turn this blue. And so with this one right here, what I can do is I can actually go to shear, transform, shear, and I'll do -15 degrees. Press OK, and I'll just bring this to the top, and I'll just minus front from this one here. So that gives us these little slash marks here. And if you wanted to, say, for instance, move these down a little bit, give it some more space between that and the starburst, or even shrink your starburst down some, that might be something you can do as well. It's just kind of look at the sort of the grouping here. We definitely don't want these two to touch. We don't want to have them sort of occluding each other. And so I can actually just go ahead and unify these right here, and I'll just turn it back green just to keep things consistent. And from here, let's add a little text. So we have the word premium going across the top. I'll just premium across the shield here. I'll grow this out some, V on the keyboard, or get out of your text box first. And we could do a number of things. We could rotate this. We could transform. We could rotate this. In this case, -10 degrees, or maybe just 10 degrees. It's operating from a different angle here. All right, which is, or in this case, maybe 15 degrees, since the inner slashes are 15. So that would be one way we could do it. And let me just pull this off to the side, so I can just grow this out a little bit more. So there's that going across, or we could shear it. And we could shear it -15 degrees, because this little line here is 15 degrees up from the vertical, from the horizontal, like kind of horizon, as it were. So take a look at that and see which one you would prefer. So I've got premium here. I think the sheer has a little more energy. I think I like the way that looks, just in terms of matching up with this. So so there's that. Now we have a couple options for the last little bit of line. I'm going to just drag this straight down and shrink it down a good deal. And the little tagline I had, this is something about tasty food or something like that. So I can just click on this and just make tasty food. Obviously, if you wanted to advertise something different, like maybe, I don't know, paintball equipment or makeup or something like that, you could do that as well. Now, this right here lines up well with the premium thing here, but it doesn't line up well with this little slash mark. So if you wanted to say, for instance, shear this, so transform and shear, at this point it's -15, we could just do -10 instead, or rather, maybe how about 5 to get it down to 10. Right, that would sort of line it up with that little slash there. So that's kind of up to you. What would you like to do? Would you like to have it line up with your text, or would you like to have it line up with your slash? I like the way it's lined up with the slash here. I might just put it a little more towards the edge here. I might make this a little bit more towards this corner here. And I could even grab my direct select tool and I can just move this up some if I felt so inclined. So just grab these 2 points, this point, hold down shift and grab these 2 points as well, and just drag all this up some. That's nice, and I can just put this down. Or I can pull everything down, obviously, and get a little more space away from the starburst there. But you have plenty of options when it comes to this, so I'll just keep that there. And let me just make sure this is centered with a shield. Remember, you click once to make the key object. And that's fun. Okay, and this right here, I could just sort of leave that there. So like that, obviously, once these are kind of combined into the rest of the design, they won't stand out quite as much. So that's something you can do. But here we go. Okay, so the last little thing I put on here was this little thing. I didn't really enjoy the way this looked. It looks kind of like a pencil almost, but I do like to have something there. So I'm going to do a couple of different things. First off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little blend. So I'm going to get my rectangle tool. I'm going to just make a little rectangle. I'm going to make sure this is around 2 pixels in width. And I'm just going to alt drag this away until it's, say, for instance, this big. And I'll just make a little object group, rather blend, and make. And I will go in here and go to object blend and blend options. And I'll make this specified steps. And I'll put this at like maybe 50 or so. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe 30. Okay. Maybe 25. What does that look like? I like that. I like 25. Okay, so again, this right here is up to you. If you like them densely packed, if you like them a little bit different, that's all that's well and good. But whatever you do, just kind of come to some sort of a conclusion. I'm going to leave it just oriented here, and what we'll do is I'm going to go over here to Object. I'm going to blend, or rather go to Expand. If you don't see Expand highlighted, you might have to press Expand Appearance, but I'll press Expand. And I'll keep that sort of group together. And I'm going to draw maybe a little circle or a little oval here. I'm going to draw a little circle in the middle here. Just hold down shift and just draw a little circle in the center. And what we can do is we can just center these guys together. And maybe just have them intersect. I wonder if I have to like ungroup this first. I think what's happening here is we have this sort of compound path happening. So I might just have to go in here with my shape builder tool and just alt drag across all these things that are outside of the circle. Get a little closer here and get these guys going as well. And then with that done, I'll just take away the circle here. I'm left with this stuff right here in the center. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this over here. I'll just group all this together. I'm going to even just unify it, and I'll just drag all this to the center over this way. And let's do the same thing. We'll just sort of hit the letter A on the keyboard and hold down Shift and grab this little shield right here. And then from there, we can get our sheet builder tool. We can just sort of, first off, let's just make sure we have this centered. Make sure this is the center here. So this is centered. Okay, that's good. And you can just kind of like raise it up or pull it down or whatever you want to do. And I'll just I'll get this selected, A on the keyboard, hold down Shift, grab this guy right here. And we can't do anything with this compound path except for just one by one deleting what we don't want. So I'm just going to press Alt and just sort of like pull them across the bottom here. And that should get rid of everything. All right, that's kind of neat. All right, so I kind of like this little look here. I like this little little sort of minimalist sort of like aspect. At any point, you can say, for instance, maybe, well, I don't know, grab every other every other thing here. For instance, grab this one, hold down Shift, and just grab every other, shall we say, stick, line, rectangle. In this case, they're sort of parallelograms or rhomboids, and just sort of like lift them up a little bit, maybe. And then you can have a little different look to that. So I like that a little bit better. I like that some as well. So you could add them to the corners. You could add them in different places, little accents here or there. If you want to put something in the corners, that's something you could do. But yeah, okay. So I like this a lot. So we'll call this done, and let's go ahead and make sure everything is unified, and we'll make a little stamp here. So I'll just grab this, and I'll just make sure I go to Type and Create Outlines, and then I'll go to Unify. And we'll just grab this, and we'll just create a little punch out. So make sure you create a little punch out here. I'm gonna make a little rectangle at this point. I'll just kind of curve in the corners slightly, and we'll just alt drag this over here. Make sure they're all straightened out, and we'll just exclude. All right, neat. So this right here, I think it's a little bit more difficult to see this when it's punched out, but I think when you get in close, you can kind of see it. So like I said, you know, we're looking for readability, but at least the text is pretty readable. So you might think about like maybe boldening out this or making it a bit bigger. But I like the way that this looks when it's like not the negative. When it's the negative, I think it's a little less readable. But cool. This is a lot of fun. So like I said, we'll do a couple more shapes that are different from, say, for instance, circles. So this is the first of a couple. So all right, cool. Let's just go ahead and export this. Let's export this as a PNG. I want to see that you've got this whole thing cut out. I want it to see like a PNG. So go ahead and export it as a PNG and submit it to D2L. Can't wait to see you guys produce. See you in class.